Well, good evening, everyone. That was a great video. You know, you did wonder what God does think about, all the distractions and what happens when, oh yeah, I gotta go do that, and then you get up and run out with a genuflection as sort of a curtsy. Anyways, good to be here. Today I was, as I was pondering the conversation that we're going to have tonight, I asked God, I said, give me some words that you want me to say. I don't want it to be about me. So nothing, silent, all day. I got in the car tonight, and I'm sure you don't listen to this station. It's 93.5, it's the oldies. Turned it on, but I thought I was debating. I thought, maybe I would just be quiet. I thought, no, I'll just catch the first song. The first song was this. The title of it was, Everyone Has a Hungry Heart. How about that? Everyone has a hungry heart. So I'm listening to this and I'm like, God, I think those are the words for this group. Everyone has a hungry heart. True? Everyone has a hungry heart? Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself before we move into prayer. Because I could identify myself with everyone has a hungry heart. I think the best 4 years of my life were my 4 years in college. I attended Walsh University in North Canton. It's a Catholic college run by the Brothers of Christian Instruction. It was many moons ago. And yet, those 4 years were the years when I really grew the most, I believe, in my adult faith life. It's those 4 years where I struggled the most, where I grew up the most, where I had the most fun, where I had the most disappointments, and where I met God as a young adult. And there were some things that really helped me on that journey. And one of them was something like you're doing tonight, was meeting as a group and wanting to grow together as young adults in your Catholic faith. And the fact that we need one another is the most important part. Community, you can't form community if there's any one of us who says of the other, I don't need you. Community doesn't form. I know in religious life, when we come together as community, whether it's a small community, I live in Waterville, which is only about 20 minutes from here, 25 minutes. There's 4 of us. 3 of them are teachers at Leal Catholic School. And my ministry is retreat ministry and spiritual direction. But I know that if one of the 4 of us thought, even on our heads, we don't have to say it, thought, I don't need you because I don't like you or whatever it might be, we would go the whole year without forming community. It would just be living together under the same roof. So you're coming together here, forming community, being community for one another so that you can grow in your faith life. I just want to commend you. Commend you for what you are about here when you could be doing a lot of other things this evening. So it's a great joy for me to be here. I'd like to begin tonight with a consideration of, first of all, what is prayer? What is prayer? And I'd like you just to, right off the top of your head, tell me, what is prayer? Throw it out. What is it?
Conversation with God.
Right? Good. Conversation with God. Someone else. You're going to say the same thing. Okay. No other definition? That's it. Conversation with God. Okay. Well, let me tell you about a conversation I had with God when I was in elementary school. spectrum. So by the time I hit fractions and decimals, I was, up against the wall. So my dad, who was really good at math, said, give me your book and let me help you. So I'm kneeling on the floor. I've got the book up on the arm of the rocking chair, and he's helping me to do math. And I can remember he said to me, he goes, don't do it that way. Here, let me show you an easier way. Well, the teacher was teaching us to do one way, and then my dad was teaching me to do it another way, and I was already confused. So I started to cry because I was so confused. So I said to my dad, I said, Dad, do you have to know math to get to heaven? And he paused. And I can remember he looked at me. And he says, well, no, you don't have to know math to get to heaven. I said, then I quit. I closed the book and I got up and walked away. So I don't know. I think I went to school without my homework being done because I was finished with math. I didn't need it for heaven. And I think what was going on in my heart at a young age, 4th grade, 5th grade, was the awareness that there is something beyond, there's something greater than this math class. And what is the meaning of this math class? So already, kind of searching, what's the meaning of this? Why am I spending my time on this? Is this going to help me to be a better person? I would well imagine that a number of you have been there too, in different ways, where you started to wonder, what is the meaning of this? Why am I doing this? And what does this have to do with God? What does all of this have to do with God? What is the meaning of this? So what is prayer? What is prayer? I'm going to offer you a definition. This is my definition. Prayer is growing in friendship with God. A conversation with God, that certainly is how one grows in friendship. Prayer is about falling in love. Prayer is about falling in love with God. When we fall in love with someone, or are in love, that person takes on an image for us. There's an image. We have an image of that person. That image of that person is the image that we love because we have fallen in love. So might I offer you an image of falling in God. Of falling in God. When we think of falling, well, let me ask you, when you think of falling, what do you have to do in order to fall? Okay, trust. Let go. Anything else? Yes.
Are you talking about literally falling?
Literally falling.
You have to stumble or trip over something.
Stumble or trip and you fall. Mm-hmm.
Jump.
Okay, you jump. You take the risk. So falling in love is taking that risk and trusting and making the jump. And sometimes we stumble into love. When I was in college, I was dating a young man. I dated him, I was introduced to him at a wedding. And he was a couple years older than I, about 3 years older than I. I was 20, so he was 23. He was out of school. I met him at a wedding of a cousin. And so actually, the bride, my cousin, came up to me and she says, I want you to meet someone that I think you'll like. I said, okay. And so she took me over and she introduced me to this young man named Denny. Anyways, we sat down and, we clicked, we hit it off that evening. And it was that feeling, that kind of euphoric feeling of a new friendship, perhaps infatuation. And it's like, oh my gosh. He's good looking, blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, dark, not tall, dark, tall, light, and handsome. And so we dated for 2 years. Falling. I fell in love. I fell in love. Prayer, falling in love. You're probably curious as to how I'm here now. As a sister of Notre Dame, right? How did you get here? Okay, here's what happened. Here's another aspect of prayer. While I was dating him, but especially in my senior year of college, knowing that I was graduating, was coming up to graduate, and I would be at a crossroads, I also was fully aware that we had conversation about marriage. And I knew he was ready. He was 3 years older than I. Lived on the farm in Tiffin, Ohio. And I started to get very uncomfortable in my senior year. So I began to discern in prayer with God. I'm in this situation, God, a real life situation. I'm in this relationship. It's moving in a direction towards marriage. But why do I keep being haunted about religious life? This is driving me crazy. I go out on a date and I'm thinking about religious life. I'm thinking about community life. Now, there's nothing more annoying than to have that haunting. But it was so real that I knew I had to break the news somehow. But how do you tell someone that news when he's clueless? Well, I did. In a very clumsy, awkward way. I blurted it, literally. I blurted it out in the car. Don't ever do that. Don't ever blurt out in the car. But I'm thinking about becoming a sister to the one who thinks he's going to marry you. Not good. We nearly went into the ditch, literally. So what I needed to do in that discernment, I said, I have to break off this relationship with you so that I can figure out what God is doing in my life. Because I can't keep going in this direction when I'm being pulled in this direction internally. So what I was asking for from him was time to discern outside of the relationship. So to make a long story short, and a long conversation short, we ended up breaking up. He was respectful of it, especially when I said, I just need to go to the convent to eliminate it as an option. And then I'll come back and marry you. So, here I am though. So that discernment, so prayer is falling in love, coming